Thank you, Mary. Beautiful. I love hearing our piano being played.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Sharon Dunn-Alberg. I'm your senior minister, your spiritual director, and I welcome you. Of course, we all have our cell phones turned off because God may be calling you, but probably not on your cell phone. So why don't we say good morning to each other? How we do that is we use the Namaste greeting with hands in a prayer position. So during cold and flu season, we're keeping ourselves safely distanced, and we do a slight bow. And Namaste is the spirit in me sees the spirit in you. We say the divine light in me honors the divine light in you. You can say whatever you want to say. You can even say good morning. But let's say good morning to 3 people.
Good morning. Namaste. It's nice to see you. Oh, thank you. Good morning. Namaste. Namaste. She says 3 people. There we are.
Isn't that nice? So we are asking for demonstrations. Anyone have a demonstration this week, which means maybe an intention you set that happened, that manifested into form, a prayer that was answered. I believe we have a couple of prayers answered. Anyone want to share? Cookie has one, and okay, I'm going to share the babies because the prayers that come through our website, which our practitioner will tell you about later, they get prayed on for a week or more, depending on the request, by our prayer team, and we have babies on our list this time, babies that weren't supposed to come yet, that decided, heck with that, we're coming anyway. A set of twins and Sunny Ray, who is Cookie's
My great-great-niece.
great-great-niece, great-great-nephews, great-great-nephews. So welcome to the babies, and that is an answered prayer for sure. Anyone else?
I do have to say, the twins aren't here yet. They're just, in the ultrasound it showed one is a little underweight. So I'll be asking for more prayer for the rest of the gestation.
The twins aren't here yet,
No.
right. They feel like they're part of the family already, however. Okay, let's do our vision together. Together we are a welcoming sanctuary community where all are accepted, valued, and supported in the global family. Our mission: we inspire personal and global transformation through the teachings of science of mind, and our purpose: in joy and love we connect in service to all life. And I have such joy to bring up our practitioner of the day. What is a practitioner? Well, a practitioner is someone who's taken all of our certificated classes and then gone into a 2-year program where they study to become practitioners of science of mind. Then they have to take a written exam and pass a panel. They become practitioners. They then are required to have education units and service units in order to keep their license current. We have one of those in the house. We, as ministers, must be practitioners first, so then we can go on to seminary and get our education as I did. But I want to say one more thing about our practitioner today, is she is also a minister. She is affiliated with the Emerson Institute. So she's a practitioner first, aren't we? And a minister as well. So we're double gifted this morning. Reverend Debbie Putnam.
After all of that, what am I supposed to say? Okay, thank you so much. And our beloved senior minister, Reverend Sharon, thank you. I am so grateful to see all of your bright and shining faces today, including our new people and our people who have been here for a while. Make new friends and keep the old. So I'm grateful for that. I also see that I'm imagining that many people are preparing for the Super Bowl today, because I see a few empty seats. So that will be happening later. Join with me in deepening this part of the service as we go into our invocation. You can close your eyes or keep them open and just unfocused, or whatever is comfortable for you, as we drop into that space that is always within us and around us, that space that is the divine. There is one power, one presence, one goodness. And this goodness is all that is happening in every moment. It is all that I am. It is all that each and every one of us here is. It is all that our loved ones are. It is all that the world is. And this good is happening in this service today, as the talk given by our senior minister, Reverend Sharon, as the music, as all of the service of the people who serve this center, and everyone who attends. It is amazing, all of the good that is happening here, unfolding bliss, unfolding good. And so today, I know and declare that each and every heart and mind is open to that which we need to know, that which we are ready to take into action, into joy, into bliss in our upcoming life this week, and for our whole lives, of course. And so it is. And now for our readings. From Ernest Holmes, our founder. Back of unhappiness is the thought that there is not good enough, love enough, peace enough, health enough, nor understanding enough to go around, so that as a result, some of us lack or are short of the good things of life. From Thich Nhat Hanh, we have to use the suffering, our fear, our despair, our anxiety to create happiness, awakening, and insight. The practice is to make good use of suffering in order to create happiness. There cannot be one without the other. Suffering and happiness inter-are. We have to find a way to face our suffering and transform it into happiness and compassion, just as we use the place where we fall to help us stand up.
That's for Cookie.
And this is a short one. Also from Thich Nhat Hanh. We can imagine there are many doors leading to happiness. Opening any of those doors, happiness will come to you in many different ways. But if you are attached to one particular idea of happiness, it's as though you have closed all the doors except one. And because that particular door does not open, happiness cannot come to you. So don't close any door. Open all the doors. Don't just commit yourself to one idea of happiness. Remove the idea of happiness you have, and happiness may come right away. The fact is that many of us are attached to a number of things we think are crucial to our well-being. A job, a person, a material possession, an ambition, it could be anything. Even though we suffer a lot because of it, we don't have the courage to let it go. But the truth may be, we continue to suffer precisely because of that. Each one of us has to look deeply and see this for ourselves. It needs great insight and courage to release our idea of happiness. But once we do that, freedom and happiness can come very easily, from Zen and the Art of Saving the Planet. And now, welcoming Mary back for another piano solo. Thank you, Mary.
So while Mary is playing, relax as much as possible. Following Mary's beautiful art, hopefully we'll be in that kind of place of relaxation where we can then go into a meditation. And that will be guided. So thank you so much, Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on your heart. I'm not talking about the beating organ. I'm talking about more that space in your chest, the space from where you know, maybe you remember, those warm, loving, caring, appreciating, adoring, passionate feelings are coming from. Just focus on your heart and let your thoughts and feelings just go there without judging. Just be curious. Simply relax and notice how your heart feels. Maybe you can even listen to your heart. Maybe you can get a sense of whether your heart feels closed, guarded, tight. Maybe there are, when you're looking at your heart, connecting with your heart, memories coming up. Maybe you're feeling like, oh, there are some emotions. Maybe some not so nice emotions, and you may even tear up. But just notice as you're looking and connecting to your heart that there is a part of you that deserves your attention. Notice if your heart feels cold or warm, generous or tight, giving or empty, overflowing or lacking, full of trust or full of fear. And imagine your heart like a house that has all different kinds of rooms. And there may be rooms, it's like the basement, where you have stored a lot of those memories, emotions that are still needing to be dealt with. But then there is also a place in your heart that holds your truth, that holds all those gifts and all those specific gems that you're here to touch into and share with yourself and the world. And living from that heartful place is about tapping into that what's inside of you and then using that as a way to guide you through life. And so you can just stay focused on that, stay connected to that inner truth.
Come back into the room. Was that lovely? Beautiful. That is a practice we want to give attention to during this time. Such a time as this is to stay connected to our spiritual practice. So today we are talking about You Are Enough, the Art of Happiness. And what we do in Centers for Spiritual Living, which is about 400 plus centers all over the world, is we have these themes given to us through visioning, which is something we're going to do after the service. It's another spiritual practice. And these themes come, and we have an annual theme of rising higher, growing deeper. We have a February theme of radical interconnection. And then we have our topic for today, joy. You Are Enough and the Art of Happiness. And I want you to think about this. This is something that came to me in my meditation. The art of happiness is to know joy. And I'm going to explain that. Considering happiness is fleeting. It can come and go, depending on what's going on. Whereas joy is a spiritual principle that is not fleeting, that is living within us always. So we're going to talk about that. The art of happiness is the art of living deeply in the process of the moment. And happiness is connected to events, circumstances, conditions. Joy is not. Joy, again, is a spiritual principle. And I often, when I'm talking about somebody who influenced Ernest Holmes, who is the founder of our teaching, who is the author of our textbook and many books, he had teachers as well. And so what I do is often when I'm talking about a specific teacher, I bring the chart back up, sort of the genealogy, if you will, of Ernest Holmes. And the first arrow from the top is Thomas Troward. And so Ernest Holmes is the second arrow down pointing up, and that's where he is on the chart. So you can see that he was influenced by Thomas Troward. And Thomas Troward was a judge in India, and he was also a writer and wrote a lot about cause and effect. And he was he looked at it through the judiciary, through logic, through the law, and spirituality, religion. And he wrote amazing books that we study in our classes. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about, Thomas. So he was a divisional judge in Punjab in India, and his avocation was the study of comparative religion with that logical mind, which I just love. And so he applied logic and judicial weighing of evidence in the study of matters of cause and effect. So his book, the Dunn-Alberg Lectures on Mental Science, was it's a classic, and it's what we use in our classes to teach the science of mind, which I talk about every Sunday pretty much. We are a threefold teaching: religion, science, and philosophy, and our science is quantum physics. Now, at the time of Thomas Troward, we didn't have Einstein hanging out in Venice, but Ernest Holmes was hanging out in Venice at the time, and so we got kind of a real close relationship to the science. I thought this was a fun fact. According to Alcoholics Anonymous, early AA members were strongly encouraged to read Thomas Troward. And why would that be? Because in Alcoholics Anonymous, they wanted them to know that through the power of their mind, there is healing. So, how great is that? I thought that was pretty great. The other thing I thought was pretty great is that he was the past president of the International New Thought Alliance, INTA, which is still happening today. In fact, when I was a minister in Oakland, we hosted the convention, the annual convention for INTA. And when I read that, I went, oh my gosh, Thomas Troward was like the president. So I thought that was pretty great. So what? So what? What's that got to do with the football game this afternoon? So what is that we have what we call spiritual principles. And that, as I say and define, spiritual principle is that which is true for all. I think all of you could recite that at this point. What is true for all? Meaning that it's immutable, meaning that it's not changing, it's unchangeable. And so Thomas Troward, he listed these particular 7 principles, and that's not all there are, but these are the ones Thomas Troward focused on, if you will, and one of them is joy. So I wanted to bring to your attention that joy was one of the 7 key principles. And the reason I think this is important, I want to bring it to current events. And I want to focus on the truth, capital T, that no matter what's going on in the world, joy is in our DNA. It is something that we're born with. It is something that is always with us. So is life, love, light, power, peace, beauty, and so much more. Wholeness, abundance. We know there are so many principles that live and have their being in us. We can access them at any time. And sometimes, don't you feel like, what? Where are those principles? That's not what I'm feeling right now. Here's another thing that's really interesting. Spiritual practice, just like we did with Mary's beautiful piano and our meditation, gets us ingrained with the understanding and the beliefs and the faith in these principles, that they are not anywhere outside of us. They're actually who we are. They're our identity, our DNA, and here's the good news, they connect us to each other. One principle is oneness. We are one. I know we forget that often. I should say, I speak for myself. When I see what's going on, sometimes I forget. And I think, ew, that person. But we talk about that a lot. We talked about that last week. When I say something hurtful about that person, who am I hurting? What is sin in our teaching defined as?
Missing the mark.
Missing the mark. What is hell?
Separation.
Separation. When we decide that that person's over there and I'm over here, we have separated ourselves from the truth of our being, and that isn't anything but a human thing. Our divinity is not separatable. That's a word. Separatable. So what I love about Thomas Troward is he calls these principles that live in us, that are our identity, as normal standard. Beauty is your normal standard. Joy is your normal standard. They're the divine principles of humanity. Do we love this? I mean, I want to walk around with that. Excuse me, my normal standard is abundance. My normal standard is beauty. My normal standard is intelligence. We're talking about the infinite mind that I have access to. So, Troward suggests that these spiritual principles are normal standard from which we continue to evolve. Isn't that nice? There is an inherent, identifiable, expressionable spiritual DNA, breathe, that we all come into life with and with which we have to become familiar. So, love, the principle of love, is infinite. It doesn't have an end. It doesn't end with me and begin elsewhere. It includes elsewhere. And else one. That's a word. Else one. Ooh, I'm so glad we're recording this. I like that. And last, he says that we have access to them by what we call divine principle of humanity. I just love that. Sometimes I get discouraged. I don't see the divine principle of humanity. You know, this may not always be something we see, but what we must do is when we can't see it, we've got to stop and remember it's there. Because it is the bridge to compassion. When we remember who we are and who and whose we are, we step onto that bridge where we so easily can be compassionate. We don't have to like what's going on. I'm not saying that, but we cannot forget the DNA that we have and share as humanity. I think you all heard maybe a lot of you heard the story of my last week, where we went to a rest stop. It was so beautiful. We've been to this rest stop before. I was so excited that they had kind of redid this rest stop. It looked really fancy. I was like, wow, I want to go to the bathroom here. You know? It wasn't one of those, oh God, I gotta go. You know, I gotta. No, this was like, yeah, I want to see how this is. And I got in there and it was just strewn with toilet paper and toilet seat covers on the ground, and toilet after toilet after toilet after toilet. No one had flushed. I kept walking to see if there was one that I could use. And I said, I wrote this poem, and I noticed my legs were so heavy that by the time I got down to the toilet, I could hardly walk. And my heart was broken. And so anyway, I did my thing, and I flushed the toilet, and I realized even the toilets are new. They flush really well. You push the button and boom, you know, the whole thing just does this wonderful thing. And I thought, well, then there's nothing wrong with all these toilets. And I went and flushed every single one of them. And I thought, well, the person that comes in after me doesn't have to experience what I did. But then when I got outside, I literally teared up because I felt like, where is the divine principle of humanity? We are given this beautiful rest stop. They made this so nice for us to get off the highway, right? To rest, to close our eyes and maybe sleep a little bit so we're not fatigued on the highway or a danger to others. What a beautiful thing. And I got so discouraged. And then I thought, wait a minute, how does that help? How does it help for me to be discouraged? Rather, I wrote about it, I posted it, I asked people, to take care of our environment. I did what I could do to leave it better than I found it. And I think that's right now kind of the story of where we're at. We can either leave the toilet unflushed like everybody else, or we can go flush, 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 and take care of each other. And let go as soon as possible the judgment of humanity and the despair, because that doesn't really help us. The other thing I want to say about joy and happiness is that happiness is fleeting, but joy is always within us. So there is actually not only a possibility, but a probability and a definite, truth in the fact that we can experience joy in the midst of great sorrow. Like it doesn't leave. So I had another experience this week where that happened, because usually when we get these topics, we get to, live them for the whole week. And this was an anniversary week for me. As you know, many of you know, I was married 45 years. My husband passed from Vietnam War poisoning after 20 years of being sick. And he died on February 7th. And February 7th is just one of those days that just kind of claims the calendar for me. You have any of those days? It's like you get up and you're like, okay, it's a holiday, not for anyone but me. I get to rest and I get to be with my grief. And it was a hard one this year. Sometimes I kind of forget, like, oh my gosh, it's February 7th, and I didn't even remember. And other times it's just, I wake up and there it is. And the entire day was filled with such sorrow for me. And I get with my kids on FaceTime at a certain time of the day, and we get together and share memories. All this time, all day long, my beautiful husband, who I am so grateful to have met 4 years after and married, did nothing but stand for me in anything I needed. Anything I needed. Just like, if there's anything I can do. And it brought me so much joy. I was like, wow, we hold multiple truths simultaneously, don't we? That's the thing to remember, is that I didn't ignore seeing and feeling and experiencing the joy. This is a side note I probably shouldn't say, but what the heck? I'm saying it. So we toast on the 7th, the kids and I. We make a toast. And my beautiful husband made me a smoking old-fashioned. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's a chemistry thing. It takes a long time to get that whole thing out and start smoking the place up, and it's in the box, and you have to bring it out at a certain time, and the whole thing's smoking, and it looks very, very festive. Wow. It's just that kind of thing. Have you done that? Have you been just so brokenhearted at the same time you went, oh, wow, this there's pure joy in this. Can you think of an example of that? So you see the difference between happiness and joy? Joy is not fleeting. And I wanted to, I told Ruth I'd go back really quick from last week's topic, which was emptiness in interbeing. And when we think about emptiness, that which is a Buddhist practice, emptiness, I love this Thich Nhat Hanh description. Emptiness means to be full of everything, but empty of separate existence. Does that make sense? You're empty of the feeling of separation. And what do we always have within us? Spiritual principles. We always have love. We always have life. We always have light. We always have power. We always have joy. We always have abundance, unity, oneness, wisdom, intelligence. We always, always, always are fully filled with this DNA, and the nature of our life itself is to experience more of it, is to be in touch with those things that if we're experiencing them, they become real. So no, we don't get to just know it here. We must experience them. Find ways where you experience spiritual principle. And especially now. And do you understand that when you experience spiritual principle, we all do? And so when the world looks dark, you know, when everyone's moving to Italy and Mexico and, you know, I'm going to move in here. I'm going to move my beingness into connection and belonging and oneness and unity, compassion. Because that's how I know to change the world. That's how I know to add to make a difference. You know, sometimes we think, what's one person, what can one person do? Oh my gosh! So much. We can do so much. And so there's this, I want to bring Thich Nhat Hanh back in. That's our book of the month. And he says that these are the wrong ideas about suffering. If we suffer, then all life is suffering and misery. Do you ever feel like that? Oh gosh, it's over. We're doomed. There's nothing positive here. It's the end of the world, the end of democracy, the end of whatever. Has anyone felt that way recently? The other idea is we can only be happy if we never suffer again. Unfortunately, or fortunately, you know, we have to suffer in order to have an idea of not suffering. That, as Buddhists call it, the cessation of suffering. There is suffering. There is also a cessation of suffering. And what do we use? Our DNA. So we might have to up our spiritual practice. We might have to, do more service in the world. We might have to flush some toilets. We might have to do some things that we don't want to do. You know, we might have to spend a little more time in our meditation, in our prayers, because we contribute to what is wrong in the world by believing the wrong in the world. We contribute to the wrong in the world when we believe the wrong in the world. Is anyone awake still? Does anyone agree? I've heard that more people are coming to spiritual community. Before the pandemic, it was, people are leaving the church. They don't want organized religion. Now we're hearing, wait a minute, people are coming to the centers, the spiritual centers. Why are they coming? Because they want a sense of connection and belonging. Because they want a place where they can practice joy, peace, love, unity, abundance. For ministers, clergy around the world, these are challenging times, heartbreaking times. Because of the science of mind, because we understand physics, it's imperative that we put more weight on possibility. We put more weight on principle than problem. It's so important. And I know that this is becoming a way to happiness, which we want, but the way to happiness is through joy. It's to recognize you already got it. You already have an infinite supply of good, joy, peace, love. You're already there. You were born with it. And it's imperative that we recognize it, focus on it, and bring it into form through that observer effect. This is a daily practice, and at such a time as this, it has to be hourly. Let us pray. So we know that there's one power, one presence, one love, one heart, one body, creating everything out of itself. The Creator creating creation, creating everything in its likeness, so that I am that is. I know this for each sentient being, not only myself, the trees, the earth, the animals. One. Interconnectedness. I am. And so this power, this presence, called by many names, celebrated all over the world on Sundays, on Saturdays, in mosques, in chapels, in churches, in synagogues, in nature. It is not intrusive. It affords us free will. It waits to be invited into our creative mind. And so I commit to the awareness that I am that I have the power within me, that I can see in all sentient beings, the heart of God, the face of God, the body of God. I am so grateful to know that the power of the Holy Spirit, of the Almighty, of all that is good, is my name, my purpose, my why, my reason. It is my mission, and I am so grateful. And because there's only one mind, what I know in my mind is known to all. And I recognize that it takes this awareness to bring into form that which we then experience. So this prayer is already answered. It was answered from the beginning of time, before time and space, waiting for my word to be spoken. I release my word gratefully into the law that says yes. And please affirm with me as we all say together, and so it is. Ashe. Shalom. Amen.
Wow. That was amazing. And this idea that Reverend Sharon brought us that what the world has now is love, sweet love, and so it is ours to bring that front and center and let that power, Ernest Holmes used to say there is a power for good in the universe, and we can use it, and part of that power is love. So thank you, Reverend Sharon. A hand for Reverend Sharon. We are offering you the opportunity to give. Why do I call this an opportunity? Certainly it's wonderful that we receive your donations and your tithes. But also it is an opportunity to remind ourselves and to be actively in the flow of good and in the flow of abundance. So what we want more of in our lives, what we give our energy to expands. Reverend Sharon talked about that a little bit. What we give our attention to in terms of abundance also expands. So we expand our abundance by giving of our abundance, what feels comfortable, right? It's a sacred service, and it blesses us as well as blessing this center. So thank you. If you're online, we love your donations as well. Thank you so much for your participation. Join with me in saying our abundance affirmation. In consciousness of abundance, I give freely, knowing that I am freely given to. I forgot to mention one thing real quick, which is you may have seen a QR code up on the screen, and we have them on cards actually out in the lobby. This is another way to give, where you can use your phone, scan the QR code, and give using PayPal. So very convenient.
I am so blessed.
I am so blessed.
I am so blessed.
I am so blessed.
I am so
Grateful for all that I have.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed.
I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
I am so grateful.
I am so blessed. Announcement time. Reverend Sharon mentioned that there is going to be visioning for our center after service, so we'll spend a little while just hanging out in our joy ship, which is a little kind of like fellowship, but community hanging out.
I like it. I like it.
If she can make up words, I can make up
No,
words.
I'm keeping that. I like it.
Okay, it's free for the taking. The visioning will probably start around noon, I'm assuming. And Reverend Sharon, do you want to speak at all to what that
It's
is?
just about a half an hour.
Okay. And that is a way of going into the quiet space within us and allowing ideas from our divine connection to come through a set of questions that lead us to those ideas. So, highly recommend.
What are we actually doing? Are we meditating?
What's that?
Are we meditating?
No, it's visioning. Visioning is a practice where it started with Michael Beckwith, who he kind of established the process. But it's where we kind of go into a relaxed, deep kind of meditation, and then we drop questions. I will drop some questions in, and we'll just see what floats up, and that will be. It takes about a half an hour, and then we'll share that vision. We don't question it. We don't analyze it. We just write it down and document it. And when Debbie and Reverend Patricia and they were visioning for a minister to come, they also got like the color blue, and they got wanting to associate with a bigger organization. And I came from CSL, which is the bigger organization, and our logo is blue. So they didn't know what to think of it at the time, but there I was. So.
And here we are.
And it's wonderful to vision quarterly so that we see what's possible, see what's in that potential that comes out for us. And then we go in that direction. It's wonderful.
Reverend Sharon, for several months already, has been teaching a monthly class called The Art and Science of Spiritual Mind Treatment. It occurs on Saturday mornings, the first Saturday of the month. And are there a couple more Saturday mornings left?
There is.
March and April. We just had February. So I have heard that it's absolutely wonderful, and it is taught on a drop-in basis. So even if you haven't been to any of them, or you've been to one, or whatever, you are welcome to come. And it is also a way, of course, to connect with more people in the community and just get to know us a little better. So all are welcome. We have an annual meeting coming up. This happens every year, maybe because it's annual. I know. So March 2nd at noon, I assume that's a Sunday, and that's after service, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and that'll be here in the yeah.
And all these slides are on the website.
And all these slides are on the website. We do have an amazing website where you can see what kind of shenanigans we are up to. Also, on the website, there is a donate button, there is a prayer button, so those things are important. On March 7th, so we have a bunch of things coming up. Jesse Powers is coming here. Songs and Stories from the Spiritual Path. A few awards going.
Yeah.
You can see all of this, I assume, on our website, and this is a concert to benefit our center. And the 7th, is that a...
Friday night.
Is it a Friday? Okay.
There's going to be wine and cheese.
And there's going to be wine and cheese, just saying. And then our grand opening service for this sanctuary, this center, which people have worked so hard on. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Reverend Sharon. Thank you, so many people. Yes, is on April 6th. And that is from noon to 3 with a building dedication, with live music, with refreshments. And who is that fellow? Gary Lynn Floyd is coming to share his music with us, and he is absolutely phenomenal. So. Oh, and the One Love Band. Look at that.
Yeah. A lot of music.
Lots of music. And today we have an affirmation to share with you. This is our gift to you for the week. Feel free to say it with us. Feel free to engrave it on your heart or your mirror or both. I embrace the wonder of life, knowing I am enough. Speaking of Gary Lynn Floyd.
Yes, we're so excited to have him join us. And so today for our closing song, we're going to sing along with Gary Lynn. So join us. Oop, wrong button. Well, I'm going to do something different, I guess. Let's try this. There we go.
Love be with you.
Love be with you.
Peace enfold you.
Peace enfold you.
Spirit lift you.
Spirit lift you.
Breathe it in.
Breathe it in.
Truth come through you.
Truth come through you.
May good flow to you.
May good flow to you.
Let joy renew you.
Let joy renew you.
Till we meet again.
Till we meet again. Love be with you. 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 Peace enfold you. Spirit lift you. Breathe it in. Truth come through you. May good flow to you. Let joy renew you till we meet again. Love be with you. Love be with you. Love be with you. Love be with you. Love be with you.
Love you all.
Love you, Gary.
So imagine having some of that. Some of that awesomeness. We now gather in our closing circle, and we are not holding hands, although holding hands might occur in warmer weather, who knows, but right now we are putting our hands in prayer position while we share our love from our hearts with each other, knowing the divine within us sees the divine in each other, and I will say our benediction. And in this knowing of good, in this presence of divine love and divine wholeness that has filled this service, we are filled. Each and every one of us has a full heart, an open mind, is divinely protected, blessed, and safe, is filled with the divine presence right here and right now. And we take this presence out into our lives with each other and all of those we meet, so that we give a smile or a good word or an encouragement, and we know the good is happening every moment. That which we need from this service, we take out today. We go with safety, we go with joy, we have fun with our families, with our friends, whatever it is we may be doing next. And this is so. I give thanks for answered prayer. It is done, and so